So I haven't uploaded many videos over the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's because I've been rather busy doing bench tests and looking at some old tech. Now, if you've upgraded your computer in the last decade or 2 decades, then you will probably be quite shocked and disappointed that over that period, if you upgraded your computer, you're only looking at around about a 30% performance increase. Now, this was known to me because the latest and greatest hardware doesn't give you the latest and greatest computer system. In fact, it's all down to the hardware being matched properly for the purpose that you're using it for. So what we have is a oxymoronic look at the performance increase or not with the computer systems as you've bought them. You've probably paid £5,000 or so over the last couple of decades to keep your computer current. And what does it actually mean? Now, you don't need to use new hardware, and I've done some videos which you can see stuff running in the background here, or not, as the case may be. There we go. Where I've done I've picked up some of my older computer systems. Now, I have Enforce 2. I have a quad core 2 Duo quad, or core 2 quad, and I have an i5, and I have a Ryzen 7, and I have a Pentium 1 and a Pentium 2. And so what I've done is I've started to put them all back together as they were. One was a GT Ultima system that got finally used as my daily for over a decade and still performed admirably well in games and such like, but that's the games that I was playing. Effectively it was still AAA titles, and in a lot of the gaming systems, you know, the the optimization came later than the hardware did. So when you had dual core, initially for about 3 years or so, the games weren't optimized for it. Then you had quad cores and they were not optimized, and then you had, you know, your multi-cores, but they never really did, you know, it's always been a catch-up situation there. But your graphics performance and your screen resolution would put a labor on the graphics card, which is just simple maths. A 45 gigabits per second will give you 55 frames per second, you know, as such when you do your maths anyway, depending on your screen resolution, because obviously a megapixel, you know, a 10100 is your segmented, and its throughput is obviously what screen resolution you're going to get. So how do we, in this series of videos, for some reason this is taking ages, I'm obviously waffling on here. This will be the blue one. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what computer that is. I think that's my A8N SLI. So we're doing some teardown. This is a teardown of a Intel Pentium 4. That's a single core processor, but it's the 3.2 or 3.4 gigahertz one. Now, I pulled this out, and this is a old Hewlett Packard tower unit, but this is not obviously Hewlett Packard hardware in there. So we messed about with the different RAM and everything else that goes in there. So then we have a strip array there, and I believe that one is a RAID array using Raptor drives. And I do a comparison of how the SSD performance for probably computers all the way up to 2008, I believe, or 2012, somewhere around about 2008 to 2012, but we're using stuff from 10 years ago, and the performance is very marginally different from the previous performance, or the latter day performance on computers. So as you can see, if you upgraded your computer, yeah, so I've got some old games as well. and I played some old games. This is, I think, Star Wars. Yes, it's the Star Wars Battlefront, and also Doom. I also played Doom on there as well. And we had the problems of getting drivers that work, network systems that work, this, that and the other, and the old adage of having to build a computer and its compatibility and its driver issues and everything else that was wrong with it. So this is what really goes on about that. Let me actually go into some actual benchmarks. Now, I've done some benchmarks on the new Ryzen 7 and the newer NVIDIA graphics cards. And as you'll see, there's not much in the difference between the frame rates, but the actual monster here is a completely different colour and completely different texture than what is now in the current versions. So we can see, using exactly the same graphics benchmark, which is exactly the same software, how this totally changes the view or look of the output, what you actually see. So there is a considerable difference there in the coloration, the modelling of the people and their face, and in some of it is better than others. Now, so we got a benchmark there of 12,421. Now, all of these benchmarks are actually at the upper end of all of the benchmarks with the same or like hardware and era that it came from. So this one is probably, you know, going above the performance that you would expect of a computer of that era anyway, which was always the thing for me anyway, to always have the better computers. So what I'm going to do is, these are all the raw video footage, and there's quite a lot of it to go through, and a lot of talk by with these ones. I mean, this video is 6-7 minutes long in itself. You know, and then we go through the different benchmarks and how they performed and everything else. So this is going to be quite a long drawn out process. Now, the first video, which is the introduction video here, is going to go into making up these other videos. Now, what I've got is, I think 4 or 5 computer systems downstairs, and I've put them together now. I'm a little bit low on graphics cards, kind of in a fashion, but I don't want to keep on grabbing out graphics cards just to do the tests and the performance. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make the video as a one long feature, which is probably going to be at least an hour long, and then I'm going to do the mini series on each of the computers. There's not much in the way of build videos, I don't need to do that. I have featured some of the problems, and you know, one system actually took me 3 days to get the operating system installed on it, which I wasn't happy about, and then we had another problem, and that was down to Microsoft's own installation software and its defectiveness. Thanks Microsoft for being the bane of my life. So what we're going to do is, we'll be running through some bench tests and various systems, going through the eras of upgrades, hard drives, graphics cards, that kind of thing, and we'll be taking a look at that. Now, I ran some benchmarks on old X2 processors, 939 socket, not AM2s, and the performance difference from a perspective in single core and dual core, multi-core, some of it is literally, it's like, you know, it sounds good when you say 300%, but your computers over the past 20 years or so have only given you 3 times the performance, so you're not really getting a massive great big jump. And I'm sure some of you will have looked for Moore's Core is dead, which is the evolution of how processors are supposed to evolve. So I'm going to be doing this over the next couple of days, where I'll be building various computers with all the hardware that's out. Of course, I'm looking for ones that work that everything's perfectly fine. We've actually done a mod on a 9500 Pro. Now I did this years ago, and it was an epic failure. The graphics card died. But I've come across another graphics card, and the Arctic cooler is fitted on there, and you can't see it. No, there it is. It's behind the TV, so you can't really see it in this video. But there are going to be B-rolls of all this hardware and these little mods. And I have got the TFT mod in one case already that's underway, although I'm having a little bit of a problem trying to work out which one is powering it, and I don't want to blow it up or blow any parts of the CPU up just to prove a point or make the point anyway. But I have TFT screens that fit inside the drive bay, so if you take out your hard drive bay, your opticals or your spares, you can put a TV screen in there and run stats and displays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this here as an introduction of what is coming up. If you want to see these computers from over the last 3 decades, go head to head, and we are AMD and Intel. You'll be able to do so by subscribing, and if you click subscribe and like this video, all notifications, the next series videos will be coming up with the computers from 1999, 2000, all the way up to 2020, when we'll put my Ryzen 7 up against some of the older ones. But also in the same leg of that, I'll be also doing a separate series of using old tech to make something decent, and that goes down to the i5 as a storage or network server for home use. We'll be looking at some fiber channel and some networking, but we're not going to go into detail of that. If you go on the networking playlist on my channel, you'll find an ample and really good video by somebody else who I can't remember now, who done a video explaining the details of that, and really that is a pinnacle video. It is really good for what it is. And in my hand there is a CT920 sound card from Creative Technologies Limited, which obviously are Creative Sound as you know them, and it has memory modules on it. So we have some quite rare tech, which was the best of the best in the day when they came out, and that's an ISA fitting as well, so you can tell how old that's going to be. That's dating back to the 90s and 80s. So yeah, some old tech coming out, and hopefully you'll subscribe and you will get to see them in the next couple of days once I get them edited up. But I'm going to go back through once I've done it all and redo all the benchmarks and then link them all up together so that they're all kind of together, because otherwise it gets a bit of a problem trying to go, well, which system is which, because we've got the DFI, we've got DDR3, DDR4, we've got the last of the AGP cards, the 2002 to 2005 graphics card there. We've got the 8800 series, the 1900 series, and we've got a 600 series and a 750 series and the 900 series and the 1600 series. So as you can see, it's going to be a bit of a big subject really. So yeah, like, subscribe, whatever. I'll shut up and you can get on with your day. Don't forget, just scroll down, click subscribe, and then you will be able to watch this back once I get them all done and dusted. Thanks for watching.